Good afternoon. This is Wayne Albright and another episode of Let's Discuss Weather. It's Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, and I thought I'd start out with a brief summary of what happened this past weekend and then go on to the weather for the middle and end of this week through the weekend and a little hint at a moderating trend heading into the middle of February. On the screen here is the snowfall totals for Southern Virginia, Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina from the National Weather Service in Wakefield. And you can see generally 2 to 4 inches in Southern Virginia, Southeast Virginia, and as much as 6 to 10 inches down toward the Albemarle Sound in Northeast North Carolina, and even 10 or a little bit more than that, 10 plus inches on the Currituck Outer Banks. And along the coast, they had winds upwards of greater than 40 miles an hour, blowing the snow quite a bit. So while the accumulations from the forecast to keep the days leading into it were a little higher, especially across Southeast Virginia, as much as 6 to 12 inches forecast, the system was, or the precipitation was a little bit farther to the south, still managed to get 2 to 4 inches, like I said, in Southern Virginia and Southeast Virginia, but not as much farther to the north. There was a lot of dry air to work with. The initial system didn't really pan out heading into Saturday, and it took a long time on Saturday afternoon to get the snow to really get going north of the North Carolina-Virginia border. So that hindered a little bit of the accumulations farther to the north into those areas. And if you look at we'll look at the eastern North Carolina snowfall from Morehead City, Newport National Weather Service. You can see the storm lived up to its potential. A lot of places in eastern North Carolina got a foot of snow or more, as much as 19 inches near New Bern, and Kingston 13 and a half, down toward Wilmington, which is a little farther south than this, got about a foot. So it was a substantial snowfall in eastern North Carolina. It will be a history maker and will be remembered going forward. And a little slight shift to the north, a little less dry air in southern Virginia would have had some of these totals, especially in southeast Virginia. So they were spared a little bit, but you see what they missed, as the 6-inch line was not very far away from those areas. So I call it a good forecast. The little bit of a bust here in these areas of southern and southeast Virginia as far as snowfall goes, but certainly not a miss by any stretch of the imagination as far as the forecast goes. And they even had a foot of snow back in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think 5 or 6 inches in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and snowed all the way down into portions of northeast Georgia. So it was a pretty impressive storm. So we'll head forward now and talk about what's going to happen the next few days into next week. The highlights are here. Patchy light snow and rain will push across mainly Maryland and Virginia tonight. There will be very little snow accumulation. A weak low will track across North Carolina late tonight, or late Wednesday night, and potentially bring a period of light snow. Accumulations 1 inch or less. It's a tricky situation, and I'll go over some things that are going on. Dry weather follows Thursday and Friday. Still cold, but not as extreme as we've had. A clipper system from the northwest will cross the region on Saturday, resulting in possible snow showers, especially Maryland and Pennsylvania, and especially in the mountains. Another round of very cold and mainly dry weather Sunday and Monday, and the typical areas near the lakes and into the mountains will have continued snow showers, it looks like. But east of the mountains and on the coastal plain, it should be dry, but it's going to be another round of very cold weather Sunday and Monday, with the wind blowing quite a bit on Sunday, driving down the wind chills. And then a moderating trend in temperatures beginning middle of next week and probably lasting through the weekend and into the next week as we go forward. So what is going on out here this afternoon? We have a little weak system. I'll put this map up here. First, weak area of low pressure coming through the mid-Mississippi Valley. There's an area of snow to the north. There's a warm front across Kentucky. Little bit of light snow across southern Indiana, southern Ohio, and into West Virginia. And there's an area of rain showers south of that through Tennessee down into Louisiana. Temperatures have moderated quite a bit. In many areas, we're back into the 30s as far north as southern Pennsylvania, southeast Pennsylvania, up to New York City. In the 40s in central Pennsylvania, even in parts of northern Virginia, or central Virginia, and parts of northern Virginia are in the 40s this afternoon. And those 40s extend down through North Carolina and in the 50s and really back into the 60s back in Georgia. A lot of this took care of a lot of that snow. It melts pretty quick when temperatures get up into the 50s and even the 40s. So they'll lose the snow quite a bit faster from the last storm than areas in north central or northwest North Carolina up through central Virginia and up into Pennsylvania and Maryland will lose what I call the mini glacier that still hangs around after day, I think, 8. And I think I saw that local schools are doing the virtual learning, or at least some of them, again on Wednesday. So it's hard to melt that stuff once it's in, and we've had a lot of cold weather. And even though it tries to melt during the day, it re-solidifies at night. So I call it a mini glacier out there. And it's very difficult to walk on. And what the sun doesn't hit is not melting. So it's going to take a little more than what we've got the past day or two as far as getting temperatures above freezing to get rid of it. So this system is of concern. That warm front will spread to the east, drag some moisture. Clouds are already increasing across Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina this afternoon. It started out bright and sunny, and now the clouds are reaching the coast. That area of snow, like I said, is progressing toward the mountains or through the mountains. A few echoes are trying to make it across the mountains, but that's aloft at the moment because it's still pretty dry at the low levels. It'll take some time to get there. So what happens here in the next 24 to 36 hours? Let me see if I get the right screen here. Go back to here. And let's see, do I want that or that? I'll go with this. All right, let's see. We will go with, let's look at the GFS here today and go to the surface map. And here we are this afternoon. Weak low pressure. Or no, this isn't this afternoon. This is this afternoon. Weak low pressure in Kentucky. And we'll spread some moisture across mainly Virginia and Maryland overnight. And there'll be an area of light snow, possibly mixed with a little bit of rain, northern Virginia, Maryland, Delaware. Mainly light rain, if there is anything, to the south across southern Virginia and into North Carolina as the area of rain heads through Alabama and Georgia. So that system gradually weakens with the warm front during the day on Wednesday, especially Wednesday morning. And the weak low continues to the east. It's in no hurry to track into and across South Carolina and North Carolina during the day on Wednesday as it waits for energy to come from the west. That's very weak. This whole system is weak, as I said in a previous episode last week before the storm over the weekend. Not a lot of moisture to work with, and you can see not a lot of precipitation on this model, at least. And there is a debate going on between the global models, or what we call the GFS, and the European. They're global models as to how much there actually is in moisture that reaches the east of the mountains. as the system reaches the coast Wednesday night, early Thursday, while the high-res models are these. I'll just look at one. Throw quite a bit of moisture farther north and produce a little bit more of a threat for snow, light snow, central Virginia up into Delaware and Maryland, late Wednesday into Wednesday night, while a little bit of rain falls in southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina. So there is a battle going on between the high-res models, which should probably carry a little more weight as we draw closer than the global models with this situation, or any situation. Usually we switch to higher resolution models the closer events get to fine-tune the forecast. So this one higher resolution model is showing a little bit more of a threat for some light snow central Virginia up into Maryland late Wednesday and Wednesday night as the system reaches the coast, and it might end as a little bit of freezing drizzle or light snow into northeast North Carolina and southeast Virginia, according to the HRRR, which is what we call the HRR. Like I said, the GFS and European are the global models, and they don't really have a lot of anything. Let's see what a Canadian model has. Canadian global model really doesn't have a lot either. So it is a battle going on, weighted a little more maybe to the higher resolution models. Certainly not a big storm. Could there be a surprise somewhere with a little bit of light accumulation? That's certainly possible. The ground's cold, and wouldn't take much to accumulate a little bit, a dusting up to an inch of snow. So it's something to look at or continue to watch as we head through the day on Wednesday. And then after that, high pressure returns. If the map will actually move, what is going on? There it goes. And high pressure moves in, following it for Thursday and Friday. Won't be too bad. Partly sunny at worst, probably. A little more cloudiness farther north toward Pennsylvania and Maryland. A little more sun to the south. Temperatures still below normal, but not extreme. We'll still get into the 30s and probably lower 40s. But not too bad of weather to close out the week. We have a clipper coming on Saturday. You can see a pretty potent system coming through the mountains, or into the mountains on Friday evening. A little bit faster on the GFS. And Friday night into Saturday, quickly exits and brings in more cold air. I think the Europeans a tad slower. Maybe not. Yeah, it is a little slower. So the Europeans a little slower, bringing it in Friday night into Saturday morning. And then it gets colder into Sunday with another blast, air coming from the north. There's a lot of cold air up here in eastern Canada. That area's been frozen for a while, and it's going to get very cold during the weekend, especially on Sunday. Saturday is the transition day, most likely, and Sunday is the cold day, and the wind will blow and the wind chills will be low heading into the mid and end portion of the weekend. So another period of cold weather, very cold weather coming this weekend. Pretty much on track of what we thought a few days ago. So everything's falling into place with the weak system coming through midweek this week. Another shot of cold air as the northwest flow aloft intensifies. Then we get into the next week. We start out cold, but we do see some moderating going on. So Monday doesn't look quite as cold and dry. So that's Monday right there into Tuesday, Monday night. After that, let's check the what I call the MJO. I love that. I love to use the MJO, especially at this time of year. All right, let me get it on the screen here. It's a little low here. All right, here we go. Right now we're in phase 7 or right close to 8. We'll go back to what it usually looks like in February. Phase 7 is a little bit warmer. Phase 8 is a colder, but we've been transitioning from 6, 7 to 8 for the last week or two. So we've been trending toward the colder, and we've certainly had the cold weather during the past 8 to 10 days. So that's what it looks like. And the forecasts are for it to meander into phase 8 or be weak, and then 1 and 2 as we head into the middle of this month. On all the models, it looks like. One thing of note, though, is the extreme. This is the NAO and the PNA that I always bring up. The NAO is charging negative, and the PNA is still positive, so that's giving us confidence of another cold shot coming into the eastern part of the United States. But after, and beginning probably the middle of next week, the trend is up in the NAO toward neutral or 0, and the PNA is trending toward down toward 0 or even negative by next weekend. So that signals that there is a change coming in the overall weather pattern aloft. And after the weekend cold shot, the extreme cold should be over, at least for a little while. And the other thing I noticed here is the MJO forecast, at least from the American model, really brings a surge of 3 MJO after day 10 and into the third week of February. And that may lead into 4 as we go toward the end of the month. So there are changes coming. We are not going to have the persistent northwest flow, I don't think. But it's not obvious that it's going to be what meteorologists call a blowtorch by any stretch of the imagination, but it will moderate closer to normal next week and continue into the following week. And that will be a good thing, at least to get us back to normal. Certainly, I don't see any signs of, spring, but there is some moderating that looks like it's going to take place after this weekend. And we can see that in our temperatures. Here's Norfolk or Wakefield. There's the cold shot this weekend. After not too bad days, Thursday and Friday, the weekend's colder, and then it moderates, and it's a little more normal the middle and end of next week into the following week than what it has been. And if we go farther north, it should show the same thing. We'll go up to Pennsylvania here. Where are you? Pennsylvania, Middletown, Harrisburg. Here we go. And you can see the same thing. It's still on the colder side, but we're not talking 20s and teens for highs like this weekend or what we've had. It's back up into the upper 30s and possibly low 40s at some point. So there is some changes coming, and we can see that on the ensembles. This is the upper air pattern right now. The trailing system here. There's the first system going by. Here's the second system trailing for Wednesday night. That exits on Thursday. Northwest flow strong from Alaska, cross-polar flow all the way down into the eastern part of the United States and New England. The coldest air will be in the Great Lakes in New England into the mid-Atlantic. And then it relaxes. And we gradually break down what we call the MJ or the NAO, which is the Greenland high, will gradually break down next week. And in response, the southeast ridge will build a little bit, and the trough will go into the west for the first time in a while, which will mean changeable weather out there and a moderating trend farther to the east. And what is gone also is the cross-polar flow that has kept the cold air replenishing and coming to the south and southeast out of the North Pole. So there are changes going on in the ensembles, and they've been happening for the past few days. So this isn't anything new. This is something I've been keeping an eye on for the last 3 or 4 days. So it is definitely a change in the weather pattern. I'm not saying it's going to be warm and balmy, but a more zonal flow is a lot better than the Arctic Express at this point. So at least in my mind. So we do have a chance here to at least moderate closer to normal maybe some places get above normal for a little bit, and melt some of this stuff that is out there. What the future holds after that, I know the groundhog saw his shadow. 6 more weeks of winter. Winter is 6 weeks away. So, or spring is spring is 6 weeks away. So, we'll see what March brings. But anyway, there is a definite reversal, or at least change in the pattern, coming next week into the following week, as noticed by more of a trough in the west and more ridging in the east. And we can see that in the temperatures also, temperature departures. I'll do the 5-day averages. So you can see it. Let's get it moving here. Here we go. So you can see it spreading to the east by next weekend, and then the following week you got more of a trough and colder weather out in the Rockies and West Coast, and a warmer, quote unquote, looking period as we go next week into the following week. So in conclusion, the weather for tonight through Wednesday is what's on our minds. And the yellow is tonight, a little bit of light snow, possibly a little bit of light rain too, inch or less, Washington, D.C., Delaware, back toward the mountains of West Virginia, north of Richmond, Virginia, and south of Harrisburg. And then with our system, the second system, late Wednesday into Wednesday night, could be some light snow, a little bit of light rain, maybe, in this red area, Richmond, Williamsburg, over to the Virginia Eastern Shore, back to Blacksburg, and a little bit of light snow, less than an inch accumulation. Like I said, there is a battle going on between the global models, which don't have a lot of anything, and the high resolution models, which do point a little bit higher chance of at least an inch of snow in this corridor, or near this corridor, especially Richmond over to Maryland and Delaware. So it's something to watch out for as we go into tomorrow or Wednesday. And to the southeast, far southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina, some light rain, possibly mixed with or ending as a little bit of light snow or freezing drizzle. I'm not expecting a lot down in that part of the area. So Pennsylvania misses out, it looks like, again. Missed out this last event, and will miss out on this event. And the focus will be generally Maryland, southern Maryland, Virginia, and parts of North Carolina, northern North Carolina. So on the weather outlook or storm, we're in the concerned phase, where we kind of be concerned and we watch it. We're not in the attention phase, where it's a major event or something that's really significant. It's just something to keep an eye out for, especially late Wednesday night. I wouldn't be surprised there's a little bit of accumulation tonight in those northern areas that I pointed out, of Virginia, Maryland, and over to Delaware. But not a lot of accumulation in most places anywhere, so out of either system. So that's about it for this broadcast, and everybody, we can look forward to at least a change in the weather pattern coming up as we head into the middle of February. So that's it, and we'll talk to you next time.